Thank you to everyone who called in, and especially that last speaker. I'm so sorry for what you and your family are going through. Two members of my family also went through their green card interviews, and I just can't imagine seeing your husband taken in the middle of a legal process that you were told to participate in by your government. I can't imagine if my sisters-in-law were taken as well when they went through their process a few years ago. So I just, this is not how government is supposed to be. But, and I want to thank our San Diego Police Department for the work they're doing. I mean, this is not something they'd ever thought they'd be asked to do, which is not something I ever thought I'd be asked to do as a city council member. And we're just a city council in the city, in this country. You know, when I ran for office, I was hoping that we were going to be able to work on parks and libraries and roads and 911 systems. I had no idea that we would be called upon to defend our residents from masked men on the street authorized by the federal government. And so this is something we are all reeling from as well.
And I want to recognize the frustration of community members who are doing their best to show up and, again, bear witness and are feeling like their police department is being used as a shield for abuses by the federal government. That's not okay, and I think there's some more progress that can be made there. We're going to need to continue to take action. We're going to need to continue to not just take a position as a city, but I think all of us as council members are going to need to lean on every institution in this city that has not made it clear where they stand, that they need to be clear that what is happening right now is not okay. We've had certain institutions like our school districts step up and use their voices unequivocally about how wrong this all is and the impacts it's having in our community. At the same time, and this part might be a little bit uncomfortable, I'm going to say it, the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce, which is supposed to represent the voice of business in the city, has a for-profit detention facility as a member and has said nothing about the abuses of federal power that are undeniably bad for this city's economy. Even if you remove all of the humanity from it, at a minimum, it's bad for the economy. And we've heard nothing. And those business voices are important. It's the one thing that Trump gives a damn about is people with money. And I think we have a responsibility as a city to lean on all of them to use their voices and to certainly not grant them immunity from having to take a position during this time.
While it is a resolution, I think it is important that this council be on record in opposition to what is happening in this country. There are moments when silence becomes complicity, and this is one of those moments. What is being done in the name of immigration enforcement under the Trump administration is immoral, and it is unconstitutional. It is harming families, it is harming children, it is harming people who never should have been in harm's way, and that includes people who are right here in this room today. I heard several commenters, rightfully today, say that we need to do more than just pass a council resolution. I think it's important that we do this. We do need to do more, and more is being done. Rest assured that this is not all that San Diego is doing. As Councilmember Ela Rivera noted, the Office of the City Attorney has been engaging in litigation. It recently shared its intent to join the City of Boston's amicus brief in support of Minneapolis-St. Paul and the state of Minnesota's challenge to federal immigration officials' aggressive tactics, unlawful immigration policies and practices, and their commandeering of state and local property to stage immigration enforcement actions. That is the City of San Diego taking that stand, and I appreciate the Office of the City Attorney for advancing that. We cannot be silent, and I'm glad that the City Council is taking a stand. Thank you, Council President Pro Tem.
I would tell everyone in the United States of America that you need to read the judicial opinion, the order of the court granting Adrian Conejo Arias and his 5-year-old son, Liam, that the habeas corpus writ that was issued this last week. I've never seen in my career as an attorney anything like it, where it's very, very clear that the current federal administration is treating the Constitution as a pesky inconvenience, is what the judge stated their attitude towards it was. These people who are going through our immigration system one way or another still have rights that ought to be upheld. And more than that, they have human dignity that ought to be respected. So I just would remind everyone that Scripture teaches us that we were once strangers in a foreign land, and we were welcomed. And yet in my district, masked federal agents pulled a father from his car as he was waiting outside Linda Vista Elementary School. That wasn't public safety. It wasn't necessary. And it was merely to intimidate the community.
It is unbelievable to me in all my years of life that our federal government, after 250 years of governance, is run by a bunch of people who are lawless, break the laws constantly, all the laws. I mean, there must be 200 laws they've broken already. Unbelievable. It's no wonder that people have lost faith in them.
This has been a heavy day for me. You know, I came in the office this morning thinking I would have some celebratory comments as we are moving into Black History Month and celebrating 100 years. But it was nothing of the sort. Statement that we are making here today. But I think we've made it since this idiot got into office. And I think we continue to make it. But there is nothing binding our police officers to anything in this document. Nothing whatsoever. And when I showed up to the scene, there were police officers there conducting a stop. And as I came in, I identified myself as the council member for the 4th District. And the officer that I tried to engage basically ignored me. And when I indicated, he ignored me, and I actually called the police chief. And I said, okay, well, I'll call the police chief. That officer told me, I don't care who you call whoever you want to call. All I was trying to do was to make sure it was not an ICE situation so I can go into the venue that I was going to calm the public down and tell them, this is not an ICE engagement. This is a necessary traffic stop that is going to make our community safe. But what they thought was going on, and this is how deep this goes, and why I say this can end in a disaster, is because everyone in the venue thought it was an ICE incident.
Because I think there was an important comment made that is illuminating of to what some of the dissonance is between the community and the city right now. And I fully believe when Mr. Jimenez says STPD shows up with an intent to keep the peace, that he means that. However, if the lack of peace is coming from one side of the equation, and STPD is either unable or unwilling to stop that side of the equation from breaking the peace, from imposing violence on the group, they cannot keep the peace. And in saying that, it's creating a false expectation for what the community can hope for in those circumstances.
This is very hard. We are sitting here in local government with our residents discussing the best ways to protect ourselves from the unlawful and unconstitutional actions of a federal government. Take a moment to realize what we're doing. But also, I want everyone who is watching this, everybody who is engaged in this issue, to realize that the real fight, the real people who have control over these federal agents are not here sitting in this room. They are not wearing San Diego police officer uniforms. This debate is happening in our federal nation as we talk right now. We are under a partial government shutdown because our federal congressional representatives and our senators are in a fight over a budget about how to control the Department of Homeland Security in ICE's and federal agents' actions. Currently, There are Congress members who are fighting not to fund DHS until there are warrant requirements signed by judges, body cam requirements for ICE, limits on excessive force for ICE, and a ban on the deportation or arrest of American citizens. That is what is being fought on the floor of the federal government right now. And they are asking not to fund ICE or DHS any further until those requirements on ICE's conduct, on the federal agents' conducts are put in place. So we can do all we can to scramble here in San Diego to protect our citizens, but everyone needs to advocate at the federal level of government right now and call your congressional representatives, call your U.S. senators to rein in these unlawful actions by ICE so that we can get back to actually doing what we need to do here in our communities.
I'll be frank, I think I'm a little bit speechless, not on this item in particular. I think a lot of us tend to turn to the same commentary that we all feel on this issue, which is a sense of that we're appalled or heartbroken over what we're seeing. But I think for just a moment, I want to acknowledge, I think the feeling that I know my wife has acknowledged to me, I imagine is partially the feeling that people, whether you're here in the audience or out in the community, are feeling, which is that I think everything we've seen happening on a federal level and how it translates locally has given also a pretty significant sense of hopelessness. Because there's a sense that we each, I think, feel disempowered from what we're seeing enacted upon us from our own federal government. And I think it's actually important to acknowledge that. I, for one, believe that part of the reason why this discussion is difficult and why it doesn't feel like there are concrete steps is because we need to have an honest and earnest admission that local government seems to be similarly helpless in our responses thus far from the federal government.
There is lots we can do. I'm from the civil rights movement, from the 50s, from the 60s. What can we do? We can peacefully assemble. We can sing, "We shall overcome." We can sing, "We are a peaceful people." We can sing hymns. We can gather in the streets. We can march with permits from our city. Picture this: ICE agents surrounding a federal building, supposedly protecting it from us. As a judge has told them now, ICE, you cannot go into the streets and push people after people throw things at them like tear gas. Now, will they believe the courts? Will they act the way the court has told them? I don't know. But say they are lined up around a federal building and there's a street in front and the citizens are across the street on the sidewalk and in the other side streets protesting peacefully, and there's the San Diego police in front of us as a line to protect our people so that those ICE people stay over there on their side of the street and don't come and throw things at us and don't push us and don't hurt us. Our police department wants to protect us. And I think that's what you would see happen here in San Diego. So let us hope that that's the way it is. In the meantime, organize yourselves. Be ready for peaceful protest. That's what we had to do in the civil rights movement. It took a lot of training to take that crap from those people with whips and hoses and dogs and beating up on us with batons. We had to stay peaceful. That's the key. Thank you.
That passes unanimously 8-0 with Council President LaCava absent. Thank you, Council President Pro Tem.